What's up, guys? Welcome to Daily Dose of Reddit. This is your host, Zach, and today's subreddit is r/IDoWorkHereLady. This story's called Grouchy Old Regular. Okay, so to start this off, I'm sorry, that was so dumb. I used to work at a swimming pool on a military base. We catered mostly to military personnel and their families. But as we were the only pool in town, also welcomed other members of the community. So I had been working there for almost a year, and it was at the time that our pool shuts down for maintenance. I got a call from my boss asking if I wanted to come in for some easy work. I had to go to a different building operated by our parent company that was doing stock and make sure they weren't lying about anything. I don't know why they got a lifeguard to do it. May have been because they couldn't give us much else to do and I had no relation to this building at all. So a few days later, I go and do the job and am instructed to hand the paperwork into my boss's mailbox, which is in the office in the pool area. We get the keys from the back door to the front desk usually. So I went to walk around to get them when one of the regulars at the pool, he was going in to use the gym, also located in the building, stops me and asks if I have an ID on me. I respond, yeah, why? To which he says, "It's a military pool, meant for military. I need to see your ID and you can't just walk by without signing in." And then he goes off about how disrespected the military are in our community and how he doesn't know why we were welcome here. I'm trying to get a word in to say that I work here, but he just keeps going on and on. Also note, I was a pretty scrawny 17-year-old at the time, and this guy was a 6'3" military dude who could crush me with one hand. Someone didn't check their badassery. Don't worry, guys, you'll get that later on. All this time, the lady at the front desk, who knew exactly who I was, is trying not to laugh, and eventually, when he turns to her to scoff at my disrespect, I was literally standing there not knowing what to do. Does she tell him I work there? Was his response to apologize? No. Was it to acknowledge me in any way? No. He just took back his card that had been scanned and was sitting on the counter and walked to the gym. It was kind of funny seeing him at a lane swim when the pool opened back up. Edit, y'all are making me feel a lot better about my grammar, thanks. Punctuation, sir. Thank you for sharing. Very good story. My favorite part is a song by Ariana Grande and Mac Miller, and it makes me cry every time I listen to it. You thought I was going to talk about this story? This story's called Newbie Operator Talks Bad About Coworkers. Uh-oh. So, in one of my previous jobs, I was a digger operator at a mine site. I was fairly new, but picked it up very quickly and had been in the industry for over 5 years. My crew was considered the most experienced and, in turn, was always full. At some point, some people left and they decided to finally fill our crew. For some context, I'd been at this mine for over a year and knew almost everyone in operations, was friends with most of the supervisors and leading hands, 2 ICs, and would sometimes fill in as a 2 IC. One of the new workers we got was this guy, probably mid-20s, same as myself, and I was off the diggers for the day, for whatever reason, and was training this guy in the trucks. He seemed fairly knowledgeable in the trucks, so I went through our basic intro to trucks and such, and got in, and off we went. After a couple of hours of just listening to music, he started talking about the diggers, in which I sort of just went along. I kinda suck at small talk. He went on to tell me everything about diggers and how the digger operators for my crew were slow and clunky. I sorta just went along with it until he decided to target my usual digger. Each digger operator usually has a digger they're stuck to most of the time unless something's wrong with it or it's in an area they don't want to dig at the time. I didn't think much of him talking crap until he mentioned one of the days I was on the digger with one of the really experienced operators. He was showing me some tricks and such to up my production that little bit more. This guy, who had not even stepped foot in a digger on site, was talking crap about me and one of my mates who was debatably one of the best on site. I stayed quiet, as I do, and went to the other digger operator afterwards and told him. This snowballed into none of the digger operators taking him seriously. Suddenly, it was this guy guy's turn to get a shot on the diggers. And who gets put with him after his training? You guessed it. So we pre-start and fire it up. I'm just in the digger to make sure he doesn't break anything or hits trucks and get it set up for him. And everything's fine. Walk the digger over to the new dig pattern, and I prep the bench to walk the digger on. Old maid up until this point had been contemplating the saying, as quiet as a mouse, probably realizing he had talked crap about me to me, when suddenly he pipes up saying, "Hey, if you just prep it, I'll walk it up." I think wanting to show he's not just a crap talker. And I agree, cause I'm not really in it that day, considering I was about to be passenger doing nothing for 12 hours. I prep the bench and we swap seats. Everything's fine till we get halfway up the ramp, and I notice the track slipping. I tell him to stop and check his tracks. Turns out he somehow walked halfway up the ramp and ended up at a 45-degree angle. So I say, okay, now you need to turn your tracks back straight and keep trying. He proceeds to move the tracks, in which he barely did, and tried again. This resulted in us being almost on the bench with tracks facing the wrong way and in a dangerous spot. My supervisor happens to drive into the pit during this and has realized I'm not in the seat. The radio cracks. "You okay up there, digger adult rated?" Before I can grab the radio, he's already grabbed it. "Yeah, no worries." I ask him if he wants me to take over, and he agrees. At this point, he's messed up the ramp and it's too ruined to keep trying to get up. I radio the supervisor to ask if I'm clear behind, to which he says yes, and we proceed to half slide, half track back down the ramp. No worries. Just saved a possible massive amount of damage. One thing I didn't know until after the fact is this guy had been talking himself up to management. He was a god in his own eyes. So I set up the ramp again and say, I'll just run it up for him, to which he declines and says, "Nah, I got it. I know what I did wrong." Not being much of a standoffish person, I agree and swap with him again. 10 minutes later, grossly longer than it should take, we are on the bench and he's getting lined up to start the dig, and the radio cracks again. "Digger, adult rated. Can you hold there and drop your ladder, and can OP come down?" "Copy that." I pull the digger up and get him to stay outside the cab while I'm not in there. No worries. I walk down and the supervisor says, "What the foo is that?" I said, he messed up the first time, but I fixed the ramp and said I'd take it up, and he declined. Then the supervisor points something out to me. He's not outside the cab anymore. I radio up for him to come down and he starts walking down. I turn to the supervisor and say, "Put him in with the big guy," who is the experienced digger operator I had with me previously that old maid had talked crap about that day, "or I won't get in with him again." Supervisor's happy with that, and I spend the day working. Fast forward a few weeks and this guy has been nothing but trouble, but he's let up in the digger with experienced operator, big guy, and is immediately thrown in the deep end. Most trucks in the circuit, worst dig pattern, worst material, just really given the worst opportunity. He seems to be going alright, albeit fairly slow, when I look over every so often. Little do I know, big guy is sitting in the passenger seat, letting rip, stinking up the cab, giving this guy hell for every little mistake. He complains all smoke break and lunch break, naturally. Next day I meet up with my dad at the bar. We worked at the same time, but he's the HR manager, and he says he's gotten a bunch of complaints about me and big guy. Big guy, I can understand. He's pretty abrasive and intimidating if you don't know him. He's a big teddy bear. But I get along with almost everyone and mostly keep to myself, so dad kind of ignored them, and I asked if they all look like the same handwriting, to which he says yes, and I tell him about this guy. Turns out he was putting in anonymous complaints on me and big guy for everything under the sun, harassment, bullying, etc. It all ended in an investigation, which he admitted it was false complaints, and he apologized to us and HR for wasting their time. The old man, however, had heard the rumors about this guy, but didn't have a name, and this incident solidified him as the guy. A further check turns out he hadn't worked in mining before, and lied through almost all of his resume and had only ever driven commercial trucks, resulting in his termination and all the operators rejoicing. I wonder how many of you guys, really appreciated this story's existence, because, while I don't really have any qualms with the new guy, given that, I guess, I've never been in a situation where it's I don't know, I'm whispering this part far. I've never really been in a situation where there's like an annoying new guy other than maybe in school, but I don't know. I was the annoying kid in school too, so like I liked annoying people. I meant like I enjoyed people who were annoying, not that I enjoyed annoying people, which I also did enjoy. I'm just kidding. Now that I'm thinking about it, I didn't enjoy people who were annoying. I would initially try to be friends with everyone. Like there's this one guy. Not gonna name any names, but he was like a target for essentially everyone. And I was a new kid, and I wanted to be his friend because he was a nice guy. Well, he was a jerk. And that didn't last very long. I don't know why I'm talking about this. He was there longer than me. But I was saying, like, I'm sure a lot of you guys might have been in situations like this where annoying little freaking turd brain acts like he's hot crap when you've been there for way longer and know way more. Yeah. Crazy thing about knowledge in general, like in any form, just knowledge as a concept, is the more you learn, the more you know, the more you're aware of what you don't know. For instance, if someone says, "Oh, I'm the smartest person in the world. I know everything about everything," they probably don't know much, because if they did, they'd know that there's a lot they don't know. This story's called Alleged Daughter of the Owner Believes He Should Not Pay Anything. I'm assuming it meant she. Good to begin with. I am Spanish speaking. Most of my stories are in Spanish, so excuse me if I do not write it well. At the time, I was 15 years old. I supported my uncle in his restaurant since I did not have a lot of staff. Since he did not have a lot of staff. So I agreed, supported in different areas, waiter, dishwasher, etc. At about 2, the sky is cloudy. There was a Karen that came in with an air of superiority. I was tending another table, and she begins to snap her fingers in the purest Thanos style. I was offended, but even so, I let it go. She began to sigh that the service was very bad. When I tend to her with a smile, I say, "Good afternoon, how can I help you?" To which she replies, "What are you doing here? You're too young to work here." To which I respond with, my parents gave me permission and I'm only helping. She apparently does not like this. Karen, half annoyed, started to order. I apologize for the delay and she begins to order for 3 people. She tells me, "I want it fast. I'm the owner's daughter." Annoyed, but holding on, I give her her order. I do not remember what she asked for, but it was something close to 150 souls. I'm Peruvian. She tells me that she should not pay since her dad owns it. To which I'm fed up, saying, "Seriously? Well, hello, cousin, how are ya?" She's somewhat surprised and says, "Wait, what?" I shout to my uncle, "Come quickly, I found your lost daughter." He says strangely, "What?" I tell him that she says that she's your daughter and that she should not pay. My uncle is 1.8 meters tall, robust and intimidating, to which the 1.5 meter missus was terrified and upset. She paid quickly, cursing and saying that she would never return, to which I answer in the most sarcastic way possible, "Oh, then won't we meet at Christmas dinner?" My uncle laughs at that. She puts out her middle finger and says that she will call the children's services to take me and that she would close the store for it. So far, nothing has come, so I'm calm. I don't know if it counts for this subreddit, and you are free to remove it if it is not, and thanks for reading this somewhat long story. I hope you will be pleased. Edit, wow, this post received a lot of attention. Thanks to the comments. I'll keep them in mind for future posts. That's a pretty cute story. I love stories where people try to seek favors from those that they don't deserve any favors from. You get what I'm saying? I'm tired, but like through familial relations that exist solely through delusion.
Oh, most eloquently worded, my friend.
Thank you. Don't ask who that was. He's not supposed to come out of his cage.
Get back in there now. Okay. Just give me a scone at least.
This guy and his scones. I give him a... Okay, this is going on too long. Next story. All right, this story's called Man Gets Mad. My brain just like shorts. I need to sleep. Man gets mad because I forgot about him, but I have no idea who he is or what he's talking about. So I walk dogs as a side hustle since I quit my day job due to Brovit. I have a regular employer that hires me to walk her dog once a day, 5 days a week. Today, as we were getting back from our walk, I noticed a truck parked in front of my employer's house, but didn't think much of it because there are usually cars parked on the street. street. As I'm walking up the driveway with the dog in front of me, I noticed a man speed walking towards us from across the street. I unlocked the door and went inside, quickly shutting the door and locking it behind me. Through the window, I can see the man angrily striding up to the door where he began knocking. I didn't answer the door at first because it's not my house and I'm a 5'2" female, and I'm not sure the dog would have been much help in protecting me against this seemingly angry man. But he wouldn't stop knocking, and he had clearly seen me go into the house. I couldn't leave without going past him, so I cracked the door open and asked the man if I can help him with something. And he starts yelling at me, asking if I had forgotten about him, and saying he was now running late because he was supposed to start measuring for a fence at 1:30. It was about 1:45. I tell the man I'm sorry, but I don't live here and that I'm just employed by the owner. But he doesn't seem satisfied with this answer and continues to yell about how his time is valuable. At this point, I cut him off and say, "Sir, I understand you are upset, but I don't live here. I just work here, so I don't know what to tell you." To which he gets even more angry. He crumpled a piece of paper from his clipboard and tossed it at the glass door between us and walked off down the driveway. I picked up the paper and smoothed it out and left it on my employer's table and texted her to tell her what happened. Needless to say, I don't think she'll be purchasing a fence from the angry man. First of all, I just gotta say how unfortunate it is that you got so frightened by this freaking dude. He did not have to be so weird about that. Like, good God. Okay, something we gotta be aware of, just people and in general, is how threatening we may appear to others. Obviously, there's some weirdos that want to be threatening. Okay, obviously, it's cool to be threatening in some scenarios. But as a rule of thumb, I generally like to be as approachable as possible. I like the idea of people coming to me for just random stuff. "Hey, bro, oh my God, my foot hurts. Can you help me to the bus stop?" I'm like, "Sure, bro." And someone else is like, "Hey, man, can I borrow your sock real quick? I just need it real quick, just a couple of minutes." I'll be like, "Sure, buddy." And then I give my sock for a couple of minutes. Why does he need a sock for a couple of minutes? I don't know. And now that I think about it, it was strangely moist when I got it. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. Anyway, I was saying, and let me put this in words that won't offend people that would get offended by me saying this.
Hey, you gotta tame your badassery, alright? Too many people are getting intimidated by our badassery, and we gotta check that. We don't want people to be intimidated.
This story's called, "Too Old to Work in a Place Like This?" Several years ago, I was the manager in a trendy independent clothing boutique that catered to teenagers and college students. Had a couple of girls, probably in the 18 to 20 range, come in with their mother. I was working the register that day, so when they asked for help, our owner started helping them select items and take them into the dressing room. When they finally got up to the checkout, the mother said to me, "You should fire that lady. She is way too old to be working in a hip place like this." The old lady was standing a few feet away and walked up to the woman and said, "I don't just work in this place. I own this place, and I designed most of the clothes you just bought. And considering I've owned it for 40 years and it's made me a millionaire, you can kiss my ass. Now get out of my store and don't come back." She was a sassy old lady. I loved her to death. Broke my heart when she died a few years later. Okay, first of all, phrasing, what did you do to her? No, it's sad. It's sad, but it just, the turn. That was so dark. Rest in peace, boutique owner. If only OP loved you a little less, lethally. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell to never miss an episode.